Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good day, everyone. We are from Group 4. Welcome to our presentation on meaning and context. Next slide, please. Before we begin, let me introduce our presenter who will unpack these ideas for you today. Me, Anissa Putri Wandari, will explain what is pragmatics, the rule of context, and Greece cooperative principle. Alifa Putrioza will dive into what is implicature, price maxims, floating maxims, violating versus opting out, and infringement. And last, we'll reveal how memes use implicature. I'm a head out meme, different meme version, why memes are important, and conclusion for Indah Mariama. Next slide, please. As your moderator today, I'm excited to guide us through this exploration of how meaning isn't just about words. It's about the unspoken rules, context, and intention that shape every conversation. Whether it's decoding sarcasm, understanding memes, or navigating polite indirectness. Pragmatics is the key to unlocking how language truly works. For introduction, think of communication like an iceberg. The words we say are just visible tip, but pragmatic is the massive structure beneath the surface that give those words their real meaning. For example, when your mom texts the dishes are filling up, she's not just observing, she's requesting, and we all know it. The show grace principle in action. Next slide, please. Now we talk about what is pragmatics. Pragmatics is the study of how context influence the meaning of the word and sentence. Unlike semantics, which focus on the literal meaning, pragmatics examine meaning based on who is speaking, the situation, and shared knowledge. For pragmatics versus semantic, example sentence, I could kill you. For semantic meaning or literal, a threat of violence. But pragmatic meaning, if a friend said after you break their phone, it's expression of annoyance, not a real threat. If a kidnapper says, it's actually threat. For the key concept, meaning depends on the context and shared knowledge based on meaning potential over 2003. The same sentence can have completely different meanings depending on who say it and what situation. Pragmatics help us to understand the intention behind the words. Next, about the rule of context. There are four contextual factors. First, cycle setting. A joke in classroom versus a funeral. Second, social situation. Talking to your boss versus siblings. Third is real world knowledge, cultural norm, for example, politeness. And last is textual context or CO text. The phrase household in a news headline refers to legislative decision, not a family voting at home. For visual aids, use icon time or seriousness in hourglass emoji to represent each other. Without context, misunderstanding happen. For example, household isn't it about family, it's politics. Always consider where, with whom, and why something is said. Next slide, please. Now we talk about Grace Cooperative Principle or CP. Its effective communication happens when speakers and listeners cooperate to understand each other. For example, you receive an ugly sweater as a gift. Someone asks, did you keep the receipt? For implied meaning or implicature, I don't like this and I want to return it. Why indirect? Because it's politeness, humor, or avoiding conflicts. For visual aids, pair the text with GIF emoji present or memes. For example, is the top dot counts with emoji awkwardness. We often communicate indirectly to avoid offense. This is the cooperative principle in action. So language doesn't exist in a vacuum. There's always a story behind the words. Next slide, please.
So now we're going to talk about implicator. So what is implicator? Implicator is when someone implies something without saying it directly, so that the listener has to read between the lines to understand the real meaning of the words or the sentences. For example, someone asks, "Hey, do you want to watch Frozen?" And the person replies, "No, I am without no, and just replies, "I am 55 years old." They don't say no, but the answer suggests that, "Oh, I don't want to. I think that it is Frozen is for kids." Like that. So implicator, it's not about lying. It's about implying something using context. So we can understand the meaning because we know what people usually mean in that particular situation. Next slide, please. And then next is Grice's maxims. So Grice introduced four conversational rules or maxims that people usually use when they talk. So the first one is quantity. It's to say just the right amount, not saying too much or too little, just the right amount. So if someone asks how your day was, just saying fine might be too little, and talking for 10 minutes straight might be too much. And then next is quality. It is to be honest. So don't lie or say things you have no proof for. And then next is relation. It is to be relevant. It means to stick to the topic and don't randomly change the subject or the topic. And then the last one is manner. It is to be clear and not confusing. It means to speak in a way that others can understand and and avoid using difficult or confusing words on purpose. Next slide, please. And then next is flouting maxims. So flouting maxims or breaking rules on purpose means you break one of the rules on purpose, but still expect the listener to understand your real meaning. We do this all the time, especially to be polite, sarcastic, or even to be funny. So, for example, saying, "I've seen Frozen a gazillion times." You don't mean gazillion literally. Gazillion here means a lot. So, saying floating manner, also saying something really complicated, such as, "Hey, would you accompany me to the kinematograph post meridian?" It's basically mean, "Wanna go to movies this afternoon?" It's just as simple as that. So the speaker may be hiding the message from someone else, or for example, if there's a child nearby. So when we flout a maxim, we want the other person to read between the lines and understand what we really mean. Next slide, please. Next is violating versus opting out. So look at two situations where people don't follow the maxims here. The first one is violating a maxim situation. This means secretly breaking a rule to mislead someone. For example, a politician blames fans for a stadium disaster, even though it is not true. So that violates the quality maxim because they are lying to protect themselves. And the next one is opting out. So this means openly refusing to cooperate in the conversation. For example, saying no comment or I can tell you more about that. So this is still cooperative in a way because the speaker tells us clearly that they are not going to give more information about some topics. So the differences between violating versus opting out is violating is hiding the truth, while opting out is openly refusing to share. Next slide, please. Next, we're going to talk about infringement. So, infringement or unintentional mistakes happens when someone doesn't follow a maxim at all, but not on purpose. So, they might not know how, or they may have a reason that affects how they talk. For example, a condition when a small child or language learner might not say enough or stay on topic, or a person with autism may respond in a very literal way because of their condition. And here we can see the example from the novel The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime. So Mrs. Alexander said, "What happened to you the other day?" And Christopher responded, "I went away." Christopher Hill here tells the truth but gives too little information. He doesn't realize that Mrs. Alexander might expected more from his response. So infringement is unintentional. The speaker isn't trying to be confusing, but they are just limited by their situation or even their ability. Next slide, please.
So, how memes use implicature? Memes are short image plus text that people use to send message. You usually need to understand the background, like a movie, show, or situation to get the joke. And then the hidden message is what makes it powerful. People get the joke without it being explained. For the example, tired face with the words. It's Monday again. And then this is I had Mondays. Next slide, please. So, for example, is I'm ahead of meme. This meme shows SpongeBob slowly getting out of a chair. The hidden meaning is I'm uncomfortable or bored. I want to leave. It's used when something strange or annoying happens and you want to exit the situation. For the example, if your friends start a political riot at a family meal, you post this meme as a joke. Next slide, please. So this is a different meme versions. Memes can change depending on the picture or words aid. Each version brings a slightly new meaning. For the first is absent that meme. Use dark humor, looks silly but actually hints at deep issues like family trauma. And then Halsey meme or song lyric. Only fans of the artist will understand the emotional meaning, shows how shared knowledge matters. And then the last is student meme. Shows school stress with a funny twist, students laugh because they feel it. These examples show how memes carry layers of meaning based on context. Next slide, please. So, why memes are important? Memes show us how creative people can be with language. They use just a little text and one picture to say a lot that is powerful communication. To understand memes, you need to know what's going on, the social setting, or the culture behind them. Memes are a great way to see how implicature works in real life situation. Slide please. So for the conclusion, meaning in language isn't just about the word we say, it depends on context. Implicature helps us understand hidden or suggest meanings. Real life examples like memes show how people use language creatively. To fully understand communication, we must look at who is speaking, where, when, and why. Discourse analysis helps us break down how people really communicate in everyday life. Everyday life. That's all for me.
Okay, and that's bring us to the end of our presentation today. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.